Of talking, so I'm going to say good evening and good Shabbos again. Please make sure your cell phones are silent or off. It's not silent if it's making noise. I have 3 children. I know what silence doesn't sound like. I still know what silence sounds like. Okay, I'd like to remind everyone, before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that even though this is a beautiful sanctuary, it is the sound in the sanctuary is such. I'm not talking about this sound. I'm talking about the way the building is set. If you're talking, I hear you, and you're disrupting me as well as other people in the congregation. If you're an old man and you're talking, I hear you. They don't hear me. They don't hear me. Gentlemen, I'm literally talking to you, but you can't hear me, Steve. Steve, I'm literally talking to you, but you can't hear me because you're talking to Barry. See how that works? Oh, I'm sure. If you absolutely must have a conversation, please feel free to go out into the lobby and do it there, because nobody in this room. I can't speak for the non-Jews in this room, but I can speak for the Jews in this room. Nobody that's Jewish in this room has a quiet voice. No matter how quiet you think your voice is, it's not. So if you absolutely have to talk, feel free in the lobby or the social hall. Hopefully we'll have a computer or something that someone else's phone just went off. Was that yours, Steve? Okay. So, this is the last week that we will be together for 3 Friday nights. Because next Friday, Dr. Harvey Taub will be leading services, and the following Friday, Susan and Rachel will be leading services. We will be back in 3 Fridays. I will be back in town on Tuesday the 3rd, but I won't be in services with you until that Friday. So let's make this a good one. And what I mean by that is let's just do a couple things first before we do what we normally do. Can we invite the Ellises up, please? And Jay, will you join me? Us? We have a tradition that our membership committee started this year, and that is whenever we welcome new families to our congregation, we like to give them a little bit of a welcome basket or bag, if you will. You've got in here the directory that is not the new directory yet, so you'll get a new directory when it comes out in the fall. But we'd like to welcome you on behalf of the membership committee. Do you want to say anything, or?
Welcome on behalf of the membership.
Such a man of wonderful words, Jay. So, Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for joining our congregation.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And when you've been here for a year, I'll invite you up for a special blessing.
Oh, very nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now, if you have something that has happened between last Shabbat and this Shabbat that you would like to share with our congregation, good things, not good things, please raise your hand and Susan will come around and bring the microphone to you. Speak directly into the microphone so we can all hear you.
Last Shabbat, I celebrated another birthday.
Yay, 29, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, happy birthday, CJ. Anybody else? No blessings this week besides that? I mean, that's a fantastic blessing. Nobody wants to compete with you. I understand that. I wouldn't want to compete with you either. Amy, please.
My son and daughter-in-law are in Israel volunteering with Birthrights, and my daughter-in-law has been sending very nice descriptions of what they're doing and seeing. And I'm going to Texas to visit them next week.
Wonderful. And the beauty of having an older congregation is that most people won't remember that you said that last week too. So keep on saying it because it's a great thing to say, to announce. Although you did add the part that you're going to Texas next week. So I hope you have a very safe flight and enjoy that time with your family. Anybody else? Okay, so I will then say tomorrow Bacha and I are leaving very early in the morning to drive to Atlanta. On Sunday we will be arriving at camp, and we will be at camp for the last 2 weeks, 13 days of camp. So we're excited to be that. Although Bacha will be working her regular job from our room, but she'll be able to come out at night and play with all the other adults that are there. I know you can leave the room. I'm just joking about the fact that you don't get to you don't get to run around camp like I do. I hope to lose a few pounds while I'm gone. Let's keep that. I'm going to try and eat a lot of salad at camp this summer. I say it every year, and because they serve carbohydrates upon carbohydrates upon carbohydrates at camp. Let's see if I can stick to it this year. Okay, enough said about that. We will now begin our service on page 2 as I invite Ruth Stern to light our Shabbat candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds page 3. Their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. I'll take the microphone from you. Thank you so much. You're welcome. We continue with our Shabbat Kiddush, which is on page 5. If you'd like to follow along, please rise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, b'yahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila, lemikrae kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, b'yahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mikadesh hashabbat. L'chaim. Tastes a little bit like cranberry juice. Please be seated. Am I right? No? Pacha has never told me that I was wrong before, ever.
I just haven't told you.
Need a drumstick up here. Bum, bum, psh. Shabbat is here. This sentence alone should remind us to stop and relax. Unfortunately, Shabbat seems to have been forgotten. It has become just like the other days of the week. Shabbat is here. Remember being able to slow down and stop. Rest has become somewhat of a problem for some. People are bored, needing to always go, go, go. Shabbat is here. Look to your right and to your left. Look into the eyes of those sitting around you. Look to the others who have come to welcome the Sabbath. Shabbat is here. Listen to the sounds of the candles flickering. Listen to the sounds of the prayers and the melodies. Listen to the sounds of Shabbat, every voice and word spoken. Shabbat is here. 25 hours to unplug and recharge. 25 hours to separate from the other. 25 hours to remember our ancestors and how they fought for Shabbat. We continue on page 10 with the singing of Hine Matov.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Page 18. A Psalm of David. Ascribe to Adonai, O divine beings. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name. Bow down to Adonai, majestic in holiness. The voice of Adonai is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. Adonai over the mighty waters. The voice of Adonai is power. The voice of Adonai is majesty. The voice of Adonai breaks cedars. Adonai shatters the cedars of Lebanon. God makes Lebanon skip like a calf, Syrian like a young wild ox. We continue with the singing of Lecha Dodi, page 20.
לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נשוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תהילה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך כולך.
remain standing and we turn to page 26 for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah v'yalma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala, ba'agala, uvizman kariv, v'imeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam u'ol me'almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shmei dekudasha brechu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma, v'imeru amen. We continue with Baruch Hu, page 28.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach
Please be seated. We continue with Ma'ariv Aravim on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim b'chochma potech she'arim uvidvuna mishenei itim umachalif et hazmanim umsader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil bein yom uvein layla. Adonai tzivaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We continue with the singing of Ahavat Olam, page 32. Please rise for the Shema, page 34.
The other one. No, the bottom one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. We continue with V'ahavta, page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam livanecha, vedibarta bam, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha vaderech, uvshochbecha uvekumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu latotafot bein einecha, uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim, Lihiyot lachem le'Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. We have been here before, waiting, trembling, wondering. What is going to happen next? Is there a true way forward? Many generations ago, we stood between certain death and the unknown. Is it so different from today? Every day we feel a different pull and tug. Sometimes these feelings cause us a great dismay. So what do we do to move forward? We take a deep breath. We lift up our foot. We lift up our foot. Got to change that. Good thing I haven't published this one yet. We take one step forward. As we inch into the unknown, we remain committed to each other and to our community, determined to survive this moment, this day. We remember the songs of our past as we embrace one another and our feet on page 40, Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, oseh vele, mi chamocha ba'elim
page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. We continue on page 44, singing V'shamru.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam, berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam, berit olam. Shabbat et HaShabbat l'gorotam, berit olam, ki sheshek yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat l'torotam, berit olam. U'bayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam, berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, la'asot et HaShabbat l'dorotam, berit olam.
Please rise, turn in your Siddur to page 46 for the Amidah. Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chastei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lima'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Izrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofei cholim. Umatir asurim. Umekayem emunato. Lishene afar. Michamocha ba'al givuro. Umido melach. Melech meimit umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman ata lahachayot hakol Baruch ata Adonai mechaye hakol Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom yihalelucha selah Baruch ata Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. That's twice. You scared me. I'm going to have a heart attack next time. Please. Woo! Woo! When I look out into the world today, I am not satisfied. I see ignorance, I see poverty, I see a lack of recognition. Why have so many forgotten the other? There seems to never be enough, but surely that cannot be. Shabbat is supposed to bring us pause. In today's world of war and hatred, how can we be satisfied? Are we delusional, or do we not care anymore? Let Shabbat be a time when we pause and reflect. Let Shabbat be a time for us to be shaken. Let Shabbat be a time to remember our history. I haven't memorized it, folks. Yes, I'm aware. Ay, ay, ay. Let Shabbat be a reminder of what we can do, not just what we have done. God, help us to recognize that our sanctuaries cannot truly be a sanctuary until it provides sanctuary for all of God's children. Justice, truth, reality, these are our responsibilities. Even on Shabbat, we must work to do better. Remind us that Shabbat is not a time to sit back and ignore. Let Shabbat be a time for us to be awoken. Let Shabbat be a time for us to get out and act. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Thankfully, we continue with a song, actually two songs. Ritzei on page 56, which will be followed by Shalom Rav on page 60.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu Be'amcha Yisrael U'tefilatom be'ahava tekabel U'tehi leratzon Tamid avodat Yisrael Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Baruch atah Adonai hamavarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom.
Oseh shalom b'mramav uya aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens above make peace for us, for all Israel and all who inhabit the earth. And we say together, Amen. We continue with the singing of Elohai Nitzor on page 62, which will be followed by a few moments of silent meditation.
Elohai Nitzor Lishoni Meira Usfatai Midaber Mirma Vilim Kalalai Nafshi Tidam Vinafshi Ke'afar Lakol Tihia Elohai 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 Nitzor Lishoni Meira Usfatai Midaber Mirma Vilim Kalalai Nafshi Tidam Vinafshi Ke'afar Lakol Tihia Elohai Elohai Betach Betach Libi Betach Betach Libi Betach Libi B'Toratecha Elohai Nitzor Lishoni Meira Usfatai Midaber Mirma Vilim Kalalai Nafshi Tidam Vinafshi Ke'afar Lakol Tihia Elohai 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 Nitzor Lishoni Meira Usfatai Midaber Mirma Vilim Kalalai Nafshi Tidam Vinafshi Ke'afar Lakol Tihia Elohai Elohai Yiyu l'ratzon imrefi V'hekyon libi lefanecha Adonai 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 Adonai
We come now in the moment of our service in which we think of all of those who are in need of healing, whether it be mind, body, or spirit, Jewish or not Jewish, anyone who is in your circle of community. We obviously have, as we do every week, the names on the screen. If there is a name that you would like to add to our prayers of healing this Shabbat, please raise your hand. Well, she's going to leave the hospital on Tuesday. She'll be in Ocala on Thursday. Yeah. I'm obviously aware of this. Yes, I see Michael. Obviously aware of this, but thank you for sharing. Amy Simon. Page 253, Mishabera.
Misheberach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
This Shabbat, we mark a profound structural and emotional shift in our yearly Jewish journey. We open Sefer Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy, the fifth and final book of the Torah. The word Devarim means words, and that is precisely what this entire book is. This book is made up of essentially three sweeping, deeply personal speeches, long, delivered by Moses to the children of Israel. The long, grueling 40-year trek through the wilderness is finally over. The wandering has ceased. The Israelites are now camped on the low plains of Moab, just east of the Jordan River. If they stood on their tiptoes and looked west across the shimmering waters, they could literally see the hills of the Promised Land. It was right there within arm's reach. They were standing on the absolute threshold of a brand new era. And yet, notice who was still standing right there with them, leading the assembly: Moses. For 40 years, Moses had been the singular anchor of their reality. He was the only leader this new generation had ever known. He was their shield against the harsh elements of the desert, their intermediary with the divine, and the one who carried the shattering weight of their complaints, their rebellions, and their anxieties. Even though everyone in the camp knew the heartbreaking truth that Moses was not going with them across the river, his continued presence on the riverbank offered a strange, bittersweet comfort. He represented the familiar. As long as Moses was standing at the podium, the comforting predictability of the past 40 years would not have fully vanished. His presence acted as a safety blanket for a people who were terrified of what came next. Because to step across that river meant leaving the structured, predictable wilderness behind and stepping into the total unknown of the promised land. We often talk about the wilderness as a place of hardship, and it certainly was. The wilderness also offered a bizarre kind of total security. In the desert, the Israelites did not have to worry about the economy, the farming, or defense of the state. Food fell from the heavens every morning as manna. Water miraculously, sometimes being hit, flowed from rocks. A pillar of cloud guided them by day, and a pillar of fire shielded them by night. Their relationship with God was direct, visible, and completely taken care of. The promised land, by contrast, was a terrifying blank canvas. In the land of Israel, the manna would stop. They would have to plow fields, pray for rain, build cities, fight battles, and form a complex, messy society. They were moving from a life of divine dependency to a life of human responsibility. They were trading a predictable safety of sand for the volatile, unpredictable reality of historical sovereignty. And nobody felt the acute, agonizing weight of this transition more than Moses himself. As Moses looked out at the people and began his grand review of their history, we catch a glimpse of an incredibly human, vulnerable struggle underneath his towering leadership. In the opening chapters of Devarim, Moses retells the story of how he begged God to let him cross the Jordan. He recounts his prayer. "Let me go over, I pray thee, and see the good land that is beyond the Jordan." But God firmly refuses, telling him, "Speak no more unto me of this matter." Parents, how many times have you told your child, "Don't say it again"? When we read between the lines of Moses' words in this final book, we are witnessing a leader make a quiet, desperate final attempt to get God to change God's mind. Moses isn't just fighting for his own personal reward, though he desperately wants to see the fruit of his life's work. Moses is looking at this young, fragile nation getting ready to enter a volatile new world, and his parental instinct is screaming to protect them. He wants to change the divine decree because he believes they still need him. He wants to stretch out his leadership just a little bit longer to be the bridge that carries them safely through the terrifying transition into the unknown. But God's refusal is absolute. And in that refusal lies a profound, timeless truth. God is telling Moses and telling us that the transition must happen. The old anchor must eventually let go so that the people can learn to swim on their own. This is the exact, delicate human space that Parshat Devarim invites us into tonight. It is the space of the threshold, and it forces us to confront a very specific psychological paradox, one that echoes loudly in our modern world. Think about the wilderness the Israelites were leaving behind. It was entirely safe, and it was entirely terrible. It was safe because their daily survival was guaranteed by miracles. They lacked for nothing. But it was terrible because it was a holding pen, a generational graveyard where an entire society was stuck in limbo, unable to self-determine, create, or truly live. Don't we often find ourselves trapped in our own modern versions of a safe and terrible world? We stay in relationships that have long curdled, jobs that dull our spirits, or societal patterns that we know are broken simply because they are familiar. We look around at our current cultural and societal landscape, and we can easily diagnose what is terrible about it. Yet, we stay anchored there because navigating the predictable dysfunctions of today feels safer than stepping out into the unknown. We compromise our potential for joy, equity, and progress because the current routine, no matter how exhausting or toxic, demands very little courage from us. To step across the Jordan, to enter into the promised land, means moving toward an unknown that offers us less safety, but perhaps less terrible. The future is never a guaranteed utopia. The land waiting for the Israelites would bring new vulnerabilities, geopolitical conflicts that stay with us till today, and internal societal failures. There would be far less institutional safety, but it also offered the absence of the terrible stagnation of the desert. It offered the possibility of sovereignty, the beauty of building a home, the chance to cultivate real justice, and the freedom to create a meaningful life on their own terms. Less safety, yes, but infinitely less terrible. But notice how Moses prepared them for this less than safe world. He did not tell them to build higher walls or view the inhabitants of the land as generic, flat adversaries. Instead, he spent these opening chapters re-narrating their history, their encounters with the Edomites, the Moabites, and the Ammonites. He reminded the people of their shared lineages and ordered them not to provoke or detest them, because God gave those nations their own inheritances as well. Right at the edge of the unknown, the Torah inserts a radical warning against tribal dehumanization. When we step into a future that feels less safe, our immediate defensive reflex is to flatten our world into rigid ideological categories. We divide the landscape into us and them, like the Pink Floyd song, friends and enemies, those who are with us and the other. We do this because treating those who disagree with us as a monolith requires zero emotional heavy lifting. It makes a scary world feel temporarily simple. We see the toxic fruit of this simple, flattened thinking all around us. Just this week, following the sudden passing of Senator Lindsey Graham, I caught a glimpse of it in my own social media feed. I watched as people posted comments that were celebratory, mocking, and deeply derogatory about his death. Regardless of where one stands politically, regardless of how fiercely one might have disagreed with his policies, which I did, or his alignment, which I did, although he wasn't as bad as Strom Thurmond, it was a deeply troubling display. In our rush to score political points or vent our frustrations, we forgot a foundational human truth. This was a human being. He was a brother, a dedicated uncle, a trusted friend, and a person created B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God. When we reduce a person's life and death to a mere political data point to be cheered or jeered, we aren't just harming their memory. We are eroding our own capacity for empathy. A truly promised land cannot be built on the cheap comfort of dehumanizing the other. To build a just, collaborative society requires the immense spiritual courage to look across the ideological, political, or cultural river at those who see the world completely different than we do, and see them first and foremost as human beings. It means recognizing that their anxieties, their survival instincts, and their humanity are just as real and complex as our own. We can fiercely debate. We can protect our boundaries, and we can champion our values. But the moment we collapse a living soul into a caricature, we step right back into the terrible spiritual stagnation of the wilderness. In our own lives and in our collective work to repair the world, we have to find the spiritual stamina to make that same trade. We have to look at the thresholds before us, whether it is a deeply personal life transition, a commitment to systemic change in our community, or a new phase of emotional growth, and recognize that clinging to a safe but terrible present is a slow spiritual death. Moses' final act of leadership in Sefer Devarim is not to lead the charge into battle, but to give the people his words. He gives them their history. He gives them their values, and then he steps aside. He teaches them that they don't need his physical presence anymore because his teachings are already woven into the moral DNA of their souls. He empowers them to trade the passive security of the desert for the active, courageous responsibility of the land. As we begin this final book of our sacred scroll, may we find the strength to face our own thresholds with honesty. Let us honor the anchors of our past. Find the discipline to stop bargaining with unyielding realities and step forward together into the unknown, willing to risk a little bit of safety if it finally means leaving what is terrible behind, and brave enough to see the humanity in everyone we meet along the way. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will, and let us say, Amen. We continue in our service on page 282. I'd like to invite Rachel to open the ark doors. Please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'ted gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot hadama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegoralenu kechol hamonam. V'anachnu koreim umishtachavim umodim livnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu Bayom hahu yihye Adonai echad ushemo Ushemo, Ushemo Echad. Please be seated. As we have done every week since October 7th, 2023, we still remember the hostages that were killed then and moving forward till today. This week, Israel lost Michael Katz, 82 years old, from Haifa, who was critically wounded in an Iranian missile strike on his home in April, died of his injuries this past week. This Shabbat, we commemorate the death anniversaries, the yahrzeits of Ray Barron, mother of Michael Barron, Mikhail Madorny, grandfather of Deborah Johnson, Etta Turkin, mother of Carol DeWitt, Faye Tamber, aunt of Harriet Brinker, Julius Frank, Gracie Isaac Maliver, grandmother of Brent Maliver, Helen Cohen Reed, grandmother of Deborah Johnson, Norman Copeland, father of Francine Stern, Pearl Michael, friend of Ruth Stern, Jeffrey Zelkin, Florence Weinstein, Ida Oken, grandmother of Joel Falchuk, Esther Yoel, mother of Sarah Yoel, Hyman Falchuk, father of Joel Falchuk, and Ellen B. Peters, mother of Christine Swit. If there is a name that you'd like to add to our prayers of memory this Shabbat, please raise your hand. Please rise, turn to page 294 as we join together in the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, bi'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon, u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mivorach le'olam u'lomei almaya, Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, uya asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may all their memories be for a blessing as we say together, amen. Please be seated. I would like now to invite our president, Rachel, for some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. Next Friday's service will be at 7 p.m. It will be led by Dr. Harvey Taub. The following Friday, service will be led by Susan Ahern and myself. And then the rabbi will be back the next Friday. Yearbooks. It is now open. If you have anything that you want to change in the yearbook, if you have an ad in there that you want to continue, please let us know. The forms are out on the donut, so my email that went out through Shul Cloud, I have not mastered how to attach something to that email. So right now they're in the lobby if you want to grab one. Dividends are still $8, and your jewels or your grandkids, just let us know. This week's Oneg is sponsored by the congregation, and Bima Flowers sponsored by Sisterhood.
Who brought the tiramisu? No, to my house. So Fran is sponsoring. Fran and Alan are the sponsoring part of the.
Okay.
Because the tiramisu that we brought was from them. We just haven't eaten it. So now you have it. Because we're leaving tomorrow, so we don't need all that food. It hasn't been touched. We didn't like bring a half-eaten thing of tiramisu. That's gross. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for half a bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Teavon. Okay. Today, so you guys know I wrote a book. I published a book. I was invited to join several of my colleagues in a new endeavor called Vayinafash Press. It's for writers who write their own books to share each other's social media, and it's just an opportunity for all of us to come together and write stuff. I've read some things from Sarah Tuttle Singer before, my friend in Israel. She's very well known. She's one of our authors now. Rabbi Menachem Creditor, who was my publisher, is one of our writers now. I'm telling you all this because I started today to add more to a book that I started writing almost 30 years ago. And I realized, holy crap, that's almost 30 years ago. It's really almost 30 years ago. I was in my 20s, early 20s. And why I'm telling you that is because back when I was in my early 20s, I was a camp counselor at Camp Coleman. And my brother Jason was a unit head. And I have this vision in my head that he would do this every time we had a service. It probably only happened once, but it just stuck in my head. My brother would get on the microphone in the chapel at camp, because we only had one chapel back then, and he would sing the Rainbow Connection on the microphone. And you could hear it all throughout camp. And that was his way to let everyone know it was time for services. Why am I telling you that? Because, I don't know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago or so, Dale sent to me an email of all the songs that she and Raul know how to play, just like I have a list of all the choir songs. I'm hoping to get a list from Jay and Susan as well. And when I was picking which song I wanted to sing, not what I wanted to sing, that I wanted to close with tonight, I thought, oh, I'm going to camp tomorrow. We should sing the Rainbow Connection. So our closing song is not being sung by my brother, although I will have memories of that. It is the Rainbow Connection, and the words are on the screen.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows, and what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Who said that every wish would be heard and answered when wished on the morning star? Somebody thought of that, and someone believed it. Look what it's done so far. What's so amazing something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. La da da dee da da do, da 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 do.
Shabbat Shalom. See you in the social hall.
Shabbat Shalom.
And of course, thank you to Dale and Susan and Jay and Raul for the music.